Thousands poured into La Jolla congregation to honor those who lost their lives in the Pittsburgh synagogue shooting. We have more on the vigil in our lead report.
And President Trump considers executive action to end birthright citizenship. Why he says migrants take advantage of those so-called loopholes.
Large groups in Pakistan call for the execution of a Christian woman they claim insulted the Prophet Muhammad. We have more on their outrage.
And what are skies looking like in sunny San Diego? We'll have your weekend temperatures and our weather report. Newscene starts right now. Welcome to this week's episode of Newscene.
I'm Edgar Yukevich.
And I'm Shonda Walker.
The tragedy of last Saturday's shooting in Pittsburgh was felt right here at home, at a local vigil honoring the victims. Matthew Scherer has the latest.
Yeah, thank you, Edgar. It was a very emotional evening Monday as we honored the 11 victims that passed last Saturday morning at the Tree of Life Congregation Synagogue in Pittsburgh. While security was very tight at Beth Israel in La Jolla, people showed up from all around San Diego. I spoke to Mayor Kevin Fontenot and asked what he had to say about being here this past Monday.
You know, it was so moving to be here tonight with such a cross-section of our entire San Diego community of all faiths to support our Jewish brothers and sisters in Pittsburgh, but across the country, and to come together to stand up against hate and against violence. The outpouring of support tonight represented the best of San Diego, and I'm very, very proud.
When I asked Ken Booker about why he and his wife were there on Monday, this is what Mr. Ken Booker had to say.
My wife has participated more with the Jewish tradition than I have, so she wanted to come. I wanted to come too, because I'm just sad. I'm sad that all these people, that idiots get ginned up into nonsense. They listen to nonsense. They think they can kill people. And I'm sad to see that happening. And I'm sad.
We will continue to update you as the story progresses. Reporting in studio for Newscene, I am Matthew Jordan Scherer. Back to you, Edgar and Shonda at the desk.
Thank you, Matthew. And closer to home, another place of worship has suffered vandalism. Fresno police are investigating damage to the temple Beth Israel as a possible hate crime. They say all 6 letters spelling Israel were removed from the building sign sometime between Tuesday and Wednesday this week. Temple Beth's Rabbi Rick Weiner talks about the difficulty of growing up Jewish.
We're always on edge. You know, this is not new for us.
Fresno police are working with the FBI to investigate. They have stepped up police presence at the temple since Saturday's Pittsburgh shooting to prevent any copycat crimes here.
In an ironic twist of fate, the man who shot up at the Pittsburgh synagogue and killed 11 people was later treated by Jewish medical staffers for his wounds. He was then taken to Allegheny General Hospital, where he was then taken care of by Jewish doctors and nurses. He was brought in the hospital screaming he wanted to kill all Jews. The Justice Department has set its plans to charge him with hate crimes, among other charges. He was discharged from the hospital on Monday.
With a couple of days from election, President Trump has caused controversy by proposing to overturn a constitutional right that he argues can change with an executive order.
President Donald Trump announces that he plans to end birth-giving rights, which will make a child born in the U.S. from an undocumented mother a non-U.S. citizen. The news came early this week after an HBO interview where President Trump expressed his intentions to end the constitutional right with an executive order.
It was always told to me that you needed a constitutional amendment.
Right.
Guess
14th
what?
Amendment.
You don't.
You don't.
Number one, you don't need that. Number two,
I mean, that's in dispute.
you could definitely
That's very
do
much
it-
in dispute.
Well, you can definitely do it with an act of Congress, but now they're saying I can do it just with an executive order.
Yet early in the week, White House Speaker Ryan Paul, in an interview with a Kentucky radio station, claimed that birth rights cannot be ended by an executive order.
Well, you obviously cannot do that. You cannot end birthright citizenship with an executive order. We didn't like it when Obama tried changing immigration laws via executive action, and obviously as conservatives, we believe in the Constitution.
President Trump fired back, tweeting, quote, Paul Ryan should be focusing on holding the majority rather than giving his opinion on birthright citizenship, something he knows nothing about. He later spoke to the media comparing Obama's DACA with birth rights.
If President Obama can get DACA approved, if you look at DACA, where he actually said, well, this isn't legal or this I can't do, but I'll do it anyway, and then he gets a judge to approve it, and it'll ultimately be decided by the Supreme Court, I hope quickly.
Reporting for Newscene, Juan Gomez.
Thank you, Juan. Experts on the matter are saying it's highly unlikely and would be immediately. It's highly unlikely that this would happen, and it would be immediately changed in court. They also say, even if it made it all the way to the Supreme Court, that it's largely Republican, and it would declare it to be unconstitutional.
Outraged Pakistanis are protesting and blocking streets after a Christian woman is acquitted for blasphemy. After serving 8 years on death row, Asia Bibi is enjoying her freedom. Bibi was charged with making derogatory remarks about Prophet Muhammad, an offense punishable by death. Bibi won an appeal saying she was falsely accused by those who did not want to drink from a bucket she touched because she's not Muslim. To stop protests, Pakistan's government has made it illegal for 4 or more people to gather.
The U.S. and the U.K. are demanding a ceasefire in Saudi Arabia war in Yemen. The Houthis supported and Iran have been at the war with the Saudi-backed military conditions coalition in Yemen since displacing Yemen's Saudi-backed government in 2015. The U.S. Is the main supplier of arms and bombs to the Saudis. Saudi-led bombings are causing a humanitarian crisis with over 10,000 dead and 14 million without food.
India unveils the tallest statue in the world at almost 600 feet. The statue is twice the size of the Statue of Liberty. It is called the Unity Statue and is modeled after Sardar Patel, the freedom fighter who unified India after independence. Critics claim the Prime Minister is using the historical icon to unjustly promote his political party. Other critics say the statue, which has a price tag of $430 million, wasted money that could be used for serious issues such as fighting poverty.
Investigators in the Lion Air crash found the wheels of an Indonesian airplane out at sea today. The largest piece of debris investigators have found since the plane crashed into the sea, killing all 189 people on board 5 days ago. Earlier this week, investigators found one of the flights recorded records of the flight, but the search continues for the cockpit voice recorder. Officials hope it will explain why the aircraft crashed just 13 minutes after takeoff. Search and rescue crews have gathered 65 body bags. So far, officials are relying on DNA samples to identify the bodies.
3 Indiana children boarding a school bus were hit and killed by a pickup truck. 2 twin 6-year-old boys and their 9-year-old sister was struck, as well as a 4th child who was rushed to a local hospital by a helicopter. The driver was a carpenter and was intoxicated on his way to work.
At a daycare in St. Louis, teachers had been organizing a kid fight club since 2016. The teachers were attempting to entertain kids after the school heater broke. One of the kids got a video on his iPad after he heard his brother crying after a fight. Videos show the fight and the teachers egging them on. The school director fired the teacher and called the child abuse hotline.
General Motors is offering buyouts to 1,800 workers. The U.S. auto giant says it will offer buyouts to more than 1/3 of its white-collar staff in the U.S. That's about 18,000 salaried employees with 12 or more years at GM. Company CEO Mary Barra says GM is looking to transform its workforce to make sure it has the right skill sets for now and the future, which includes new technology ventures.
A Navy veteran loses his life while trying to be a good Samaritan. Details on the tragic murder after the break.
An NBA record has been broken, and it's not too far off from where it started. Find out more in sports.
We are neighbors and best friends.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
The San Diego Press Club is celebrating its 45th anniversary. On Tuesday, the club held their annual Press Club Award show, honoring top journalists in the county. Members of Newscene received first place for a Spanish show produced last semester. The Press Club also awarded 2 college students with a $1,500 scholarship for college.
Last month, Newscene students had to run the news show from the newsroom. This happened after 1 inch of rain flooded the studio. The most affected area was the storage room located next to the TV studio. Craig Chatfield was engineering, Craig Chatfield, who is the engineer, discovered the damage.
Up and saw where it was leaking from, and I walked in and noticed a bunch of water on the floor. And then I looked up and saw where it was leaking from, and that a bunch of mold had already developed there. So I closed the door immediately because you're supposed to stay away from mold, and I wanted to have someone who knew.
3 weeks later, the district sent a company to clean the storage room. According to Chris Manis, the vice chancellor of faculties management at this district said, quote, "Nothing new, just taking care of some loose ends." There were at least $10,000 worth of equipment in the storage room. It's still not certain how much equipment was lost and if it will need to be replaced.
The police department issued a warrant for the arrest of Jeffrey Hans, a suspect in a sexual assault that occurred earlier this month. A City College student was sexually assaulted in a campus parking structure by a man she met on Tinder. The victim said that the attacker had a machete in the backseat of the vehicle. City College students received an alert about the sexual assault from campus police.
The San Diego Police Department received a call about a shooting that occurred on southbound Interstate 5. The caller told dispatchers her boyfriend had just been shot. Investigators learned the victim and his girlfriend pulled over to help what they thought was a stranded motorist. But when the victim got out of the car, he was shot immediately. Officers arrived to find the man suffering from a gunshot wound to his upper body. Authorities have identified the victim as 21-year-old active duty Navy lieutenant.
This morning, the fire of a Santee house and trees are being investigated. The residents of Magnolia Avenue were forced to evacuate the neighborhood, including children and a baby. They are still looking for a possible suspect. There was some minor damage to one of the homes and a fence was burned. No injuries are reported.
A California woman was arrested on Tuesday of suspicion of stealing more than $139,000 from school youth programs. 39-year-old Jennifer Heyman was charged with grand theft and unlawful use of personal identity information. The Sacramento County Sheriff Department said she is being held at the Sacramento County Jail on $125,000 bail. Between 2015 and November 2017, Heyman made unauthorized withdrawals and wrote unofficial checks in her possession while she supposedly advanced bank statements when the Little League requested them.
The city of San Diego agreed to settle on 2 lawsuits and pay $1.5 million to more than a dozen dancers. The dancers claimed they were being subjected to degrading searches and demeaning remarks during police raids at strip clubs. Following the settlement, the City Council will review and possibly change the way police inspections are done in such clubs.
A movement organized by the San Diego chapter Backbone campaign debuted a caricature hot air balloon of President Donald Trump as a diaper-wearing baby riding on a missile with a cell phone in his hand at Balboa Park. Protesters marched through the park to show their disapproval of the president's policies. The blimp will fly at Fiesta Island on Saturday, November 3rd from 2 to 5 in protest of Trump sending over 5,000 military troops to the border and other political issues. The balloon first appeared in the United Kingdom last summer during the G7 summit.
For more on the latest baseball news and NBA records, here's Melissa Gonzalez with sports.
Thanks, guys. Now, the Red Sox are World Series champions for the first time since 2013. They beat the LA Dodgers with Manny Machado, who has made many controversial moves this postseason, being the final out. Steve Pearce got World Series MVP, having timely hitting and 3 clutch home runs during the Fall Classic. The Sox held their championship parade on Halloween, something San Francisco Giants fans knew all too well back in 2012 and 2014. The whole city shuts down as fans wait for their team to ride around the city in duck boats. It was all fun and games until fans started throwing full beer cans at players. At one point, a can hit manager Alex Cora, leading to the guy who threw it being arrested, although both he and Cora say there was no ill intent. Now, another can actually hit a World Series trophy and broke one of the flagpoles on it. So it'll be interesting to see if a curse of the broken trophy will follow them along the way. But congratulations to the Red Sox. Now, in other news, the Golden State Warriors All-Star Klay Thompson has broken the record for most threes in a game. It happened on Monday night when the Warriors beat the Chicago Bulls 149-124. Thompson got 14 three-pointers, going 14 for 24 from beyond the arc and 18 for 29 from the field. The record was actually held by teammate Steph Curry, who had 13 threes in a game previously. Now, this game was the 4th time Klay has scored at least 30 points in a half, and the 3rd time he scored at least 50 in a game. Last season, Dubs fans will remember his 60-point game, and before that, back in 2015, his 37 points and a quarter. He's definitely one of the Splash Brothers for a reason. But now in other Bay Area sports news, baseball has lost a Hall of Famer. Willie McCovey, a San Francisco Giants icon, has passed away at the age of 80. He was beyond a fan favorite, and somebody fans will not only know as a franchise legend, but a loss to the whole world of the MLB. Number 44 spent 19 out of his 22 seasons with the Giants. And at AT&T Park, they have McCovey Cove, which is water that frames the edges of the stadium. And of course, he has a statue overlooking the water. His number was retired by the Giants back in 1980 when he retired. The Giants also have the Willie Mack Award, which is one of the most honorable acknowledgments a Giants player can get. McCovey was a 6-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year, NL MVP in 1969, and of course, was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1986. During his retirement, he was at nearly every game and got to see the Giants win a World Series for the first time in 52 years back in 2010, then again in 2012 and 2014. And most recently, he got to see the Dodgers lose a World Series yet again. So rest in peace to a legend, Willie McCovey, more commonly known as Stretch. But that's going to wrap it up for sports this week. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Marissa. One of the most anticipated movies from an iconic rock group premieres today. Find out more on entertainment.
Thousands of Google employees around the world left their desk on Thursday. Employees of the tech giant staged a walkout to protest the company's handling of sexual misconduct allegations against the top executives. Employees' frustrations began with last week's New York Article Times, highlighting millions of dollars that have been paid in exit packages to the executives accused of misconduct, including a $90 million package to Andy Rubin's father of Android after determining that the allegations against him were, quote, credible. Google CEO Sundar Pichai supported the walkout and said Google will address the issues. We'll have more when we come back after this break.
Start a story. Adopt at theshelterpetproject.org.
A 5-year-old boy from Galion who was being treated for meth poisoning. The boy became sick and had to be hospitalized after trick-or-treating. According to Galion police, the source of the meth either from the Halloween candy or from the plastic vampire teeth, which the child wore for Halloween. Both the candy and the teeth are being tested for meth. Police advise that all candy that shows signs of tampering, such as having a broken bag, is thrown out. The boy is expected to make a full recovery.
Scientists discovered a rare site in Monterey Bay, one of the best places to view marine life in California. Thousands of octopuses were found nesting eggs below the ocean's surface. Octopus are hatched from an egg the size of a grain rice before they grow into the enormous 8-legged sea creature. Winter is the best time to go whale watching or go on ocean excursions. The season is from December through March, if you want to see those octopus.
Lots is going on in the entertainment world. What's going on, Kenyatta?
Well, thanks, Shauna. I'll tell you what's going on. Netflix is now debuting movies in the movie theater before streaming them. Some of these movies have a chance of winning Oscars and other awards. The first to come out is The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, premiering November 8th, followed by Roma on November 21st, and then Bird Box on December 13th. These will be showing at a limited number of theaters for a few weeks before they are streamed. Now, Netflix isn't the only streaming service to step its game up. We also see the highest paid actors and actresses in TV appearing on shows produced by other streaming services. Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon are each earning $1.1 million per episode on an untitled drama produced by Apple. And Amazon is paying Javier Bardem $1.2 million an episode for an upcoming drama show. Times are definitely changing as we see the networks taking a backseat to streaming services. Well, another shift in the entertainment industry can be seen with the success of the new video game Red Dead Redemption Part 2. The game broke all kinds of records as it grossed over $725 million in its first weekend. It broke the record for opening weekend sales for video games and even opening weekend sales for movies. It made $100 million more than the Avengers Infinity War did in its opening weekend back in April. Well, speaking of movies, Bohemian Rhapsody, the film about legendary rock group Queen, comes out today. It was released in the United Kingdom on October 24th and has received rave reviews. If you're thinking about watching it, here's a preview.
Imagine thousands of people doing this in unison. Huh? Well,
what's the lyric?
Well, I think everyone knows We Will Rock You. Queen has definitely made their mark. So that just about wraps it up for entertainment. Now I'm going to pass it back to the folks on the desk. Thanks.
Thanks, Kenyatta. Now, San Diego's seen a lot of sunshine this week, but will the sunshine continue? We'll have this week's weather report after the break.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
I don't know what he said. Welcome back. Now let's take a look at the weather for this week.
It is cold up in the Northeast in New England. It's up in the upper 60s in Boston. However, if you go south to Miami, it's all the way up to 87. The weather keeps being cold in the north of the nation, as low as 40 in Bismarck. That is cold for San Diego people. The weather is in the 50s in the center of the nation, 50 in Lincoln, 55 in Wichita, 59 in Oklahoma. Meanwhile, in Dallas and in El Paso, it's going to be in the 60s. It goes up to 70 in Las Vegas and in Arizona, Phoenix. And it's going to be 64 at San Francisco. Meanwhile, on the coast in San Diego,
we are experiencing a lot of warm weather here in San Diego. It's been a very sunny time. October was probably one of the hottest months. Here in the inland areas, it looks like it's going to be around the 80s. If we get into the mountains, the high is 67 in Julian and 54 in Mount Laguna. As we get along the coast, in local areas, Chula Vista has a high of 80 and downtown 81. Let's take a look at that 8-week forecast here, Edgar.
We're currently at 82 up in the coast. However, it will decrease as the week progresses, going as low as 71. However, if you head inland, put on some sunscreen. It's almost 90 out there. Yes, it will decrease as the week progresses, but you will need sunscreen for a while. And that's it for the weather.
The Day of the Dead is a time to celebrate and to remember the dead.
This week, Old Town San Diego honored the dead with a week-long events. Skeletons, flowers, and altars filled the streets of Old Town. Alexander Rangel gives us a closer look.
Say goodbye, remember me. Don't let it make you cry. For even if I'm far away, I hold you in my heart. I sing a secret song to you each night we are apart. Remember.
Comment on how beautiful the colors. I don't know.
Wow, what an exciting time of the year to remember family members. But that's all we have for this week in Newscene.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.